Hey guys, Jason here, North Realty Group. Let's talk a little bit today about when buyers call listing agents thinking they may get a discount or it's easier to work with the listing agent because, well, they know the property better than a buyer's agent. Okay guys, so let's talk a little bit about what I mean by buyer's agents calling listing agents and thinking that maybe a listing agent may be better suited to help them when purchasing a house, a land, commercial property, etc. So first of all, as a listing agent and someone like myself who primarily does listings, when we do have buyers call, we do talk to them. We do want to work with them. We do want to help them. However, we usually will refer that over to one of our buyer's agents. And the main reason why is because a lot of times the buyers think that by calling the listing agent, they are going to get a discount when it comes to the purchasing of the house, the land, the commercial property, etc. However, that is not the case. And here's what I mean. When someone is selling a property and they contact myself here at North Realty Group to list their property, my job and my fiduciary responsibility is to that seller. Okay? So here's what I mean by that. So when you buy, as a buyer, call us and say, hey, we want to work with you, we buy a house, we're representing the seller. And the moment we decide to bring you on as a client, as a buyer, again, not that that's a bad thing, we now become Switzerland. We become a neutral party in the transaction. Now, in Texas, it's called what's known as an intermediary, basically meaning you're representing both sides of the transaction. And the reason why I say we could become something like Switzerland or a neutral party is at that point we no longer can negotiate on your behalf and we can't negotiate for the seller. We basically are just passing information along from one point to the other. Okay, so there's that faction of it. The other side of it, as a buyer, thinking that they're going to get a discount, they're not. I'm just going to be honest with you. Yes, obviously negotiations, you can always offer less. Sometimes the seller will take it, etc. But when, as a realtor, we're always going to get paid what we normally get paid, whether we represent you or the seller or both. And what I mean by that is there's always a set transaction cost. Typically, and from us here at North Realty Group, that's 6%. 3% will go to me as a listing agent, and then 3% of that will go to the buyer's agent. And that's paid through the seller's proceeds. Well, when buyers call listing agents thinking, hey, by the way, I know you're going to get paid on both sides, so we're going to ask for a discount. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. It can, but 99.9% of the time, myself as a listing agent will get paid the full 6% because we're representing both sides and there's no other buyer agents involved. So hopefully that makes a little sense there. But more importantly, I want to share with you a little story of why, as a buyer, you don't want to work with the listing agent. And I know it sounds kind of, again, going back to what I said earlier, there's nothing wrong with it, except there are cases where you as the buyer, you're not being represented correctly. This isn't my transaction. This is something I've seen over time through social media, speaking with other realtors, some buyers that they basically weren't taken care of. And the prime example is a buyer contacted the listing agent to buy a property. The seller said, okay, great. But the buyer said, hey, I don't want any representation. I'm doing it on my own. Well, that realtor actually decided to put on the contract that he's representing both sides. And when that happened, he becomes an intermediary unknowingly, or maybe knowingly, who knows. But the information was never relayed to that buyer appropriately. We have certain disclosures that we have to give out by TREC, Texas Real Estate Commission. But more importantly, it came to find out that the property they were buying was landlocked. There was no way to get to the property. The other agent never told the buyer this. And now the buyer's out their earnest money because they don't want to buy a property that they can't access. So now they're out $500 because they thought they were, working with a listing agent to get the best deal possible. Now, that doesn't mean the listing agent did anything incorrectly. It's just a simple fact that buyers aren't always going to be taken care of the way they need to be taken care of by a disinterested third party. So again, I know I kind of covered quite a bit here quickly. There's a lot more detail that we can go into. So if you have questions, comment below. Be happy to answer them for you. But basically, if you're a buyer and you're looking to buy a home, a piece of land, commercial property, whatever you're looking for, Yes, it's okay to call the listing agent, but a great listing agent is going to refer you back over to someone who specializes on that side as a buyer. So that way your interests are taken care of and the listing agent's seller's interests are taken care of as well. And that way information, negotiations, repairs, etc. are handled accordingly. Guys, again, I say thank you for subscribing to our channel. And if you have any questions, comment below and stay tuned for more information. Hope you guys have a great day.